In publishing terms, the Heroes Reborn line began 6 months ago. We've seen new, updated, and polished origins for some big heroes. The Fantastic Four, Captain America, Iron Man, Thor, and the Hulk. The smaller nature of the line has allowed for an overall tighter narrative. Reed Richards went to school with Tony Stark and Bruce Banner, as well as a handful of other characters. But that was all in the past. There have been some guest appearances in the modern times, but they're a jumbled mess of bad continuity. But Industrial Revolution is our first honest-to-God Part 1 to Part 2 until the end of the crossover event-style event. My name is Ben, and this is Comic Book Breakdown, Episode 1.6, The Industrial Revolution Crossover. We begin with a prologue in Fantastic Four issue 6, originally published in April of 1997. In Latveria, a battle between the Silver Surfer and the Super Skrull has leveled Castle Doom. Remember this awesomeness, as related in the second episode? It was pretty awesome. But Victor Von Doom has survived. Despite this setback, Doom does not give in to self-pity. One more plan failed, time to find another. That is when a Doombot informs its master of recent events elsewhere in the world. Before I get into the meat of this, I would just like to say that Doom programmed this bot with both a fearful stutter and a grovel program. What a butt! The bot tells Doom about the recent damage wrought by the Hulk in Avengers issues number 4 and 5. The result of that damage is a leakage of gamma radiation, which is what caught the eye of Doom's satellites. A quick scan for survivors reveals the Jade Giant himself, the Hulk, and Doom is almost speechless. All of the time he spent trying to drain the Surfer while power like this walks the Earth? He has the computer run a projection of what this creature would look like minus the gamma, but he already knows. Bruce Banner. Idiotic, naive, hopeful, neurotic Bruce Banner. A man who, in school, dreamed of building a bomb so powerful that no one would ever use it. Banner has fallen prisoner to his own ambition. Doom mocks Bruce's transformation, which I love the irony of. Bruce became trapped in the Hulk in order to save lives, where Victor was imprisoned in his armor out of selfish greed. Both men fell to their own ambition, but Bruce overcame his fear when he sacrificed himself to save others. Doom has only given in to self-pity. But he only sees what he wants to see, so Doom misses the beauty here. Confident that this incident will bring all of his old friends and new enemies into conflict, Doom decides to sit this one out. Once they're all dead, he'll stand atop their ashes. What a prick! And what a pointless prologue! I thought Doom was going to get in on this action, take on both the Fantastic Four and the Avengers. What a cop-out! He's just going to sit safely in his hidden bunker and wait like a baby? Ugh. From an editorial perspective, I'm surprised that this prologue is here. Given that most of the action looks to be happening in the Avengers and Iron Man, Captain America gets the epilogue, I'm not sure why this story happened at all. It clearly isn't about the Fantastic Four learning about the Hulk's attack, so they'll be drawn in later. Doom clearly isn't going to get involved. If the idea here was to just rope in readers who only read Fantastic Four, I think that this is a pretty weak way to go about it. If I was writing this, I'd have put Bruce sneaking into the Baxter building as the prologue, ending with him asking for help in a dramatic fashion. This would have introduced the Four to a problem in a natural way and drawn them into the conflict, and would have made more room in Avengers issue 6 for more character work. And clearly that story idea works, because that's how Avengers 6 opens. So Bruce sneaks into the Baxter building, which has happened twice now, so up your security game, Reed, and everyone surrounds him in their underwear, or without underwear in Ben's case. I'd like to comment on Sue's underwear for a second. If the next few pages were just creative shots to show Sue near naked, then yeah, I would complain about the cheesecake. But everyone is in their underwear, even if Ben and Johnny, who is covered in flames, don't really look it. And out of all the panels here, Sue is featured in only 3, so this doesn't read as exploitative for me. No, I want to talk about the fact that Sue has set up licensed Fantastic Four underwear. It definitely feels like one of Johnny's ideas, but hey, Sue is a businesswoman too. And it's not like the Fantastic Four are a job. They don't get paychecks. Do it up, Sue. Yeah, girl. Despite not seeing Reed since college, Bruce trusts that Reed can help him. He explains that he helped design the Gamma Core at Avengers Island and that the containment fields are damaged. He fails to mention that he's the Hulk or that he caused the problem to begin with, but hey, he's freaked out. S.H.I.E.L.D. is picking up after the Hulk's rampage from Avengers issues 4 and 5. They find Hellcat, who has developed a long forked tongue now. I don't know what's up with that. They find Cap, who is pretty much fine after fighting the Hulk, and takes Hawkeye and Swordsman to the helicarrier for medical attention. Fury also sends a team wearing radiation suits to investigate the core, but they don't make it. Somehow, for some reason, their faceplates shatter, and I'm guessing that the radiation kills them. I'm not exactly sure what happens or why it happens here. Fury takes his anger out on those around until Loki, in gaseous form, shows up to taunt him. I don't know if this little team-up is going to go anywhere, but Loki appears to want to see how Fury will handle this disaster. It could mean an end to his hated brother, Thor, and the rest of the Avengers, and he wants to know how it's going to go down. Loki also mentions, when Fury states that he doesn't believe in gods, that the mortals of this, and I quote, alternate universe question its very reality, end quote. This isn't the first time a character has noticed something strange about the Heroes Reborn universe, but it is the first time that someone has blatantly called it another universe. More shoddy writing from Loeb and Liefeld? Or has Loki figured things out after his defeat in issue 1 of Avengers? Or there's another option? Is Loki speaking as an editorial voice for the fanbase? One of the things that's really struck home for me during this read is how the Heroes Reborn books are really like a prototype Ultimate line. During the early years of its existence, Marvel continuously said that no, the Ultimate books weren't another reality, they were just another publishing line. They were their own separate thing. Eventually, in Ultimate Fantastic Four, yeah, it was revealed to be another reality, but I wonder if that was the idea here. Were the Reborn books meant to be another line completely, but fans kept demanding the heroes return to their mother universe? Loki is the perfect character for this kind of line, so I love the vague mystery here. Anyway, the Fantastic Four head to Avengers Island and discover the knocked-out Thor. Ben tries to resuscitate him, telling the others to press on. Meanwhile, Iron Man flies up to the helicarrier and explains that Tony Stark, as the builder of the Gamma Core, will take responsibility for this and has sent Iron Man to help. Fury isn't happy with this, but Iron Man transmits a code to shut down one of Fury's fighter ships. How about he does the helicarrier next? Begrudgingly, Fury gives Iron Man an hour. On his way back down, Iron Man nearly runs into a flying through the air Ben Grimm. Turns out, Thor didn't appreciate his mouth-to-mouth. The Human Torch comes along next, informing Ben that Reed and Bruce are nearly to the core. Iron Man, aka Tony Stark, is shocked to learn that Bruce is still alive. Remember, Tony thinks that Bruce died in the Gamma explosion. Bruce, Reed, and Sue run into Captain America and Hellcat inside the facility. They agree to team up, but Hellcat almost loses it when she catches Bruce's scent. She recognizes him and almost outs him, but Captain America shuts her down before she blows the dramatic reveal. They need to work together to stop this. Afterwards, they can deal with her suspicions. But her sudden accusations unnerve Bruce anyway. Just as the group reaches an alternate access point to the core, Bruce transforms into the Hulk. We don't waste any time getting into Iron Man issue 6. The Hulk is here, the Hulk is angry, and he wants to leave. But the Invisible Woman has managed to keep him contained so far. She comments that he's the one who caused this mess, and the Hulk retorts that Hulk only broke the core, Banner was the one who made it. If they're going to yell at anyone, it should be at him. Wanting to keep him calm, Reed tells the group not to mention that Banner and the Hulk are one and the same. Sue adds that she's never maintained a field against this kind of power for long. They need to get the Hulk to calm down. But that might not be possible. There is so much gamma radiation coming off of the core that it can actually sustain the Hulk. Like it or not, he's here for the duration. We check in with Fury and Loki, who are both still on the helicarrier. They, and we, witness the Human Torch discharging the heat that he's absorbed from the Gamma Core. So that explains why our heroes haven't gotten cooked yet. and the heat is so great that the helicarrier is automatically moving away from it. Yeah, Johnny is so hot that he can literally start to melt the helicarrier. Don't worry that this isn't how heat works. Even if Johnny absorbed all of the heat coming from the core for a minute after he left, it would still be pumping out heat. Physics aside, the Thing, Iron Man, and Thor meet up with Reed's group. This is the first time that Tony meets the Hulk while knowing that he's Bruce. The Hulk has calmed down a bit, but he's still surly. Tony looks into the Hulk's eyes, searching for his friend, but he doesn't see him. So he turns to Reed, suggesting that they channel the core's energy into the Earth's core, preventing the destruction of the East Coast. Reed is surprised to hear such an advanced theory from Stark's bodyguard, but he agrees that it's probably their best option. Captain America holds the doors to the core open, while the Thing holds the shattered core together, allowing Thor to weld it back together with lightning. While they work, Reed calls Iron Man and tells him that the welding isn't going to be enough. They're going to have to close the main valve as well, despite the fact that Ben and Thor are fading fast. The Thing falls first. He's only human, so Iron Man confronts the Hulk. They need his help. But why should the Hulk help some puny humans? Tony slams the Hulk against the wall and gives him a verbal thrashing. Whatever has happened to him as the Hulk, he is still Bruce Banner, Tony's best friend, and he isn't the type of man to let 12 million people die. The Hulk changes his mind. He'll help. Not because of anything that Iron Man said, though. It's not like the Hulk cares. Iron Man grabs Thor and Ben and gets them out of the core chamber. Once outside, they allow the doors to shut. Everything comes down to the Hulk, and Bruce Banner inside of him. Ranting about puny humans, the Hulk turns the enormous handle. He seals the valve, and the gamma levels drop fast. But Reed points out that the psionic readings are spiking? But what? Suddenly, a ghostly vision of Onslaught appears. Then it's gone. Okay, for real, I have no idea what that's supposed to mean. I got nothing. Iron Man rushes to get inside to save Bruce, but the others stop him. If he goes in there, he'll expose them all to the radiation and kill them. Why the radiation will kill them now and not 15 minutes ago, who knows? His eyes downcast, the Hulk tells Iron Man to go. Hulk doesn't like puny humans anyways. Swearing to save his friend, somehow, Iron Man leaves with the rest of the Avengers. The Human Torch disperses the last of the core's heat as it falls to the Earth. Once again, Bruce Banner gives his life to save the lives of others. Despite Ben's radiation burns, together, they saved the East Coast. Captain America comments that the Avengers were a noble idea, but with the team shattered and their base gone, they've probably assembled for the last time. Pfft, Iron Man casually replies. Says you. Captain America issue 6 contains our epilogue, so like with Fantastic Four issue 6, I'm only going to cover the material related to Industrial Revolution. I'll cover the rest of Cap 6 in the next Captain America episode. So, with all the craziness that just went down, where does that leave our hero? Nick Fury storms into his office aboard the helicarrier, determined to finally get some sleep. I mean, he did just help save New York from an Atlantean invasion, Kang's assault, and now the potential destruction of the eastern seaboard. It's been a busy few days. But when he enters, he finds Thor, Iron Man, and Captain America waiting for him. After the fiasco at Avengers Island, Iron Man states that S.H.I.E.L.D. doesn't have the funding to keep the Avengers going. Tony Stark does, though. So, as of now, the Avengers no longer work for S.H.I.E.L.D. Together, they're going to create their own destiny. Insert triumphant music here. That was pretty fun, guys. Overall, I enjoyed this. I do think that the prologue and epilogue are pretty unnecessary. There isn't anything explained in the prologue that doesn't get covered in Avengers 6, nor is there really a reason for the epilogue to be in Captain America 6. Those two issues, this type of crossover, is exactly why crossovers can suck. I just spent money buying 2 issues that don't deliver an amount of material that I'm comfortable with having paid money for. And I only paid like 75 cents per issue with this collection, and I'm still angry at these 2 issues. This is bad storytelling. Now, the point of a crossover is to get the reader to buy more books. I get that. I have no problem with that. If I only read Fantastic Four, this event got me to try 3 other books with the hope that I'd find something else that I liked, and then I'd continue buying that. But the trick to a good crossover is that every part should feel essential, even if it's not, because that's what we, as an audience, are paying for. If I walk away from this crossover dissatisfied, what's to bring me back with the next crossover? And we have 2 more coming in the Heroes Reborn line, so it's not like crossovers won't matter here. But the prologue in Fantastic Four is inconsequential. I said it before, they should have taken Avengers 6 when Bruce sneaks into the Baxter building and made that the prologue. We are introduced to the threat, the Gamma Core meltdown. We have some emotional stakes. Reed and Tony, friends of Bruce Banner, learn that he's not dead and that he's the super dangerous Hulk, and moving that story gives Avengers 6 room to breathe. We have a similar situation with the epilogue in Cap 6. The Avengers have played no role in Cap's ongoing, nor have the Avengers really had much of an issue with S.H.I.E.L.D. up to this point. This I quit moment is dramatic for the sake of being drama, and it really belongs in Iron Man 6. Or they could have had Cap 6 be entirely about Cap making the decision to take the Avengers solo. Show him interact with Iron Man, let us see his conflict in working for a private company as opposed to a government body. Have him reflect on whether or not the Avengers even can come back. The Vision, Hawkeye, and Swordsman are all out of commission anyways. Is there really a team in the fallout of this crossover? There is such good drama that is here that is passed over, and that's really what makes me so sad. That said, I think that Avengers issue 6 and Iron Man issue 6 are some good comics. They aren't great, there are plot holes that I don't really get, characters with little focus, and there is super inconsistent art, but overall it's an enjoyable read. First off, there's no misunderstanding fight. We have the Fantastic Four meeting the Avengers, meeting the Hulk, who just beat the crap out of them, mind you, meeting Iron Man, who has also fought the Hulk recently, for the first time. And no one freaks out. I mean, we get Thor knocking the Thing into the lower atmosphere over some mouth-to-mouth, but that was a gag, not a brawl. Thor even apologized after Ben returned. The past 10 years of modern Marvel Comics have been so driven by hero fighting hero that honestly, it's super refreshing to just have everyone team up. Cap knows and trusts the Fantastic Four know and mostly trust Iron Man, and while no one trusts the Hulk, Reed and Tony trust Bruce Banner. And really, at the core of it, this is a Hulk story. But I'll get back to that. I also like that everyone has a role here. The Thing and Thor try to repair the core. Reed is trying to figure out a save for all of this. Sue contains the Hulk once he's revealed. Hellcat reveals the Hulk in the first place. Cap holds the massive door to the core open. The Torch funnels heat outside. I'm not saying that all of these roles are juicy or well-developed, but it's better than just having the Fantastic Four in the background as wallpaper. The problem here is that no one has an arc. No one walks away from this story changed. The status quo from the Avengers has shifted, yes, and Ben Grimm has some radiation burns on his hands, but only one character actually grows as a person, and he dies at the end of it. Or at least it looks like the Hulk is dead. Like I said earlier, at its core, this is the Hulk's story. His blind rampaging damaged the core. Despite Bruce accepting the responsibility for it, the Hulk does not. He spends most of Iron Man 6 unwilling to help, angry at everyone for dismissing him, despite clearly needing his help. He's a petulant child, choosing to help only after being confronted by his best friend, Tony. And to me, that's super important. Before this all started, when the Hulk fought Onslaught, the battle split him into the Hulk and Bruce Banner. And during the chaos of the fight, Bruce ducked into Onslaught. So I think that the reborn iteration of the Hulk has more Bruce in him than Hulk. He's more human, more neurotic, and much more reachable. When Bruce first transforms, he hangs around Betty Ross, the woman he loves but hasn't confessed to. Despite being able to leave Avengers Island after transforming, the Hulk stays, aware that he's needed. He just wants to be asked, to be appreciated, like little Bruce Banner. When Tony yells at him, basically guilting him over the potential devastation, I think it's his appeal to Bruce that gets through. And so, just like Bruce did in Iron Man, the Hulk stays with the core, despite the fact that this will kill him. Despite all of his anger and the damage he's caused, the Hulk was a hero too. And that's some flippin' Great storytelling. So, now for the bad. Despite having roles, the Fantastic Four are pretty unimportant here. They do nothing that couldn't have been done by another hero. Iron Man suggests burying the core as the final solution, which Reed agrees with. Thor could just have easily repaired the core walls himself, no thing needed. And I'd wager that Cap or Hellcat could conceivably have talked down the Hulk after his initial appearance. The Fantastic Four are here as part of the marketing behind a 4-part event, not because they naturally needed to be here. Hell, I'd wager that we could have had a tighter narrative without them. Let me take a shot at this. Okay, let's say we open in Iron Man 6. Feeling responsible for the damage at Avengers Island, Bruce Banner contacts the one man that he knows will help him, if not for personal reasons, then for litigious reasons: Tony Stark. Tony is shocked and happy to see his thought-dead friend, but how are you alive, Bruce? Unwilling to admit his work with Hydra or the role of the Hulk, Bruce breezes past those details, promising more information once the threat has passed. Tony sends his new bodyguard, Iron Man, to help Bruce out. At Avengers Island, Iron Man convinces S.H.I.E.L.D. to give him and Banner a chance. Fury sends a small team with them to search for the missing Avengers. On the way, Bruce confesses about Hydra to Iron Man, needing to talk to someone about it. Iron Man reacts poorly. I mean, he's Tony after all. How could his friend have done this to him? And then that freaks Banner out. He starts to transform, and the sudden shift tears his radiation suit, but he gets it under control. As they continue to travel, Bruce is continuously absorbing loose gamma radiation. Bruce then explains his concerns about Tony, why he teamed with Hydra, which then gives Iron Man pause. The group encounters Captain America, Hellcat, and Thor, who are also given S.H.I.E.L.D. issue radiation suits. Hellcat recognizes Bruce's scent through the tear as they reach the core. She announces that he's the Hulk, and the S.H.I.E.L.D. team bursts into action. Agent Black Widow tries her best to kill him, but the radiation and the violence freak Bruce out and he transforms. We then move on to Avengers issue 6. Bruce Banner is revealed as the Hulk. The Black Widow has failed to kill him and now faces one of the most dangerous creatures on the planet. The Hulk lashes out, trying to defend himself from the Widow. The Avengers step in here, trying to subdue the Hulk. Captain America tries to talk him down, but the Hulk won't be tricked. He grabs the door leading into the Gamma Core, tears off a chunk, and hurls it at Cap. With the danger levels raised, Iron Man reveals himself as Tony Stark, and this gives the Hulk pause. He sits down, not calm, but a little confused and happy and scared all at once. Iron Man turns his attention back to the core, pitching a plan for Thor to weld the shield back together, and they begin. Cap, meanwhile, talks to the Black Widow about just what the hell she's doing. I've added the Widow to increase a distrust of S.H.I.E.L.D. to give the Avengers at least a reason to distrust the agency. The Hulk may be dangerous, but there's an innocent man inside of it. They can't just execute him because sometimes he can be dangerous. But the Widow has her orders. And Banner may be a victim, but so will everyone be if the damage the Hulk has caused can't be fixed. He's dangerous, which means he's a threat. Simple. Cap does not like this thinking. Hellcat, meanwhile, chats with the Hulk. My idea here is to have the two least physically human characters connect. I don't know what Hellcat's story is in the Reborn universe, so this might not have worked in the long-term story, but, maybe she wanted to be half cat, I don't know. But I want her to apologize for judging the Hulk at first glance and basically being an ass. Sometimes, though, her emotions just get the best of her. The Hulk chuckles. He can understand that. As Thor and Iron Man work, Iron Man questions Thor's validity as a god. Really? He can see some kind of ancient superhuman, but honestly, like a god? Thor argues back, listing off his brave deeds, but that's when the radiation gets to him. He collapses, and when he does, he damages the core even more. I'm thinking like a stray lightning bolt or a Mjolnir strike. The core drops out of its cradles and onto Thor. Iron Man tries to lift it, but he can't. He calls in Cap and Hellcat and even the S.H.I.E.L.D. team, but they still can't lift it. So Hulk shoves his way in, moves the core, and easily tosses it aside, damaging it more. They get Thor out, but Tony explains that there's no way to save the core now. Detached from its cradle and more damaged than before, the core is going to overheat and detonate. Their only option is the failsafe chute that was beneath it, but the core's fall damaged the doors. Tony is going to stay behind, cut the door open, and dump the core into it. The rest of them, though, they need to evacuate. Reluctantly, they do, except for the Hulk. As Tony works, the Hulk doesn't understand why he cares. No one likes Stark, even Banner didn't trust him these past few years. But Tony explains that this isn't about Tony, or how he feels, or even others. Even if no one likes him, he has the power to affect lives. He's abused that power for years, hurting people, pushing away the world. So, now he's going to help it. Not like this, the Hulk says. He grabs Tony and chucks him out of the room. Hulk drops the wall over the hole that he tore into it. Then he starts to punch through the floor. Tony begs him not to do this, but the Hulk doesn't listen. He tells Iron Man to go away, leave the Hulk alone. But don't forget Banner. Then he jumps into the chute with the core. Iron Man barely has time to escape when the core goes. Avengers Island collapses into itself, dumping seawater into the chute. The world is saved. Huzzah. Part 3 ends in Captain America issue 6. The whole issue is Cap rethinking the Avengers. There's a discussion with Tony that goes through the whole issue, basically them going back and forth about the topic. While that discussion is happening, Cap visits the wounded Avengers, basically getting their opinions on this. Many of them just fought and lost to the Hulk. Hell, the swordsman had his hands crushed. Do they really want to keep doing this? And yeah, they do. At the end of the story, Cap and Tony confront Fury, saying that they're taking the Avengers. Fury says that they can't. There are contracts in place, legal issues, all kinds of crap. So Tony calls in his backup, and Jennifer Walters enters the room. Not only is she a professional lawyer, but she's also the cousin of the man that you sent a hit squad to kill. Bet the media would love to hear about its defense apparatus trying to kill an American citizen, one who was nobly trying to stop the Gamma Core from detonating. Fury wonders if the public would buy that story, and Stark is willing to take that risk. So the Avengers don't work for you anymore, Kay. Thanks, bye. Outside Fury's office, Natasha, the Black Widow, is waiting. They chat for a moment, Natasha basically thinking that Steve made a big mistake. Next time that they meet, they might just be enemies. She needs to obey orders less, Steve comments, and think about what's right more. If she does, maybe they can be allies instead. And so, there you go. Love it or hate it, that's my take. Now, there are a few things to consider here. The first is that I outright ignore the Fantastic Four. And in a line of 4 books, ignoring one doesn't lend itself to a crossover. But I'm also one guy with complete creative freedom and no publishing schedule to adhere to. I changed the order of the release schedule, something that might not have been possible at the time as well. And as one guy, I had no one else to argue with or fight over or deal with when telling this story. Given that the crossover was largely written by Scott Lobdell, who wrote for Marvel at the time, I'm guessing that this crossover came from the Marvel side of things and not the Jim Lee, Rob Liefeld side of things. Keep in mind that Marvel farmed the creation of these books out to Wildstorm and Extreme Studios, so 2 completely different companies had to put this event together so that it could be published by a third. I think that the prologue and epilogue are pretty good evidence of that. It's why the majority of those issues don't really reflect the crossover. It's possible that Lee and Liefeld didn't want the books that they were personally involved with to be interrupted by some editorially mandated crossover. Thus, the 2 books that they focused their personal attention on went largely untouched. Back to the story itself. I don't like Loki revealing himself to Fury for a number of reasons. The first being that Loki works best as a behind-the-scenes manipulator, and just appearing before Fury and going, "I'm Loki, you should totally listen to me," doesn't seem like something that he'd do. Even if he wanted to spy on what's going down here, he could just stay in gaseous form and do that. Why have him interact with Fury? Is this a story detail that will pay off down the line? I mean, I don't know yet, but right now it just feels random, taking up precious page space for seemingly no reason. Speaking of no reason, everything dealing with the Gamma Core is super vague. I feel like a lot of that is Whilce Portacio's art in Iron Man issue 6. There are few backgrounds, there's no sense of space, and lots of near-empty pages. There was a really nice shot of the entire Gamma Bomb in Iron Man 1, and I wish we got something similar to that here. So I don't know what this space looks like at all. That being the case, it falls to the writing to make up for the lack of clarity. What we have here is, basically, a leaking radioactive device. And while, yes, a person can get radiation burns, those burns aren't from literal heat. So the Human Torch absorbing the heat from the core in order to disperse it into the atmosphere isn't something that I think he could do. Or if he could, I don't buy that a Johnny Storm with like 4 weeks of power usage could do so. And really, everyone who is exposed to the core should have some kind of radiation burn or poisoning. When the group approaches the door in Avengers issue 6, Bruce tells Reed the first code to unlock the door, but transforms into the Hulk before finishing the instructions. So how do the doors get opened in Iron Man issue 6? Because when we go to Iron Man 6, the door is already open, and Captain America has to hold it open for the length of the issue. But again, why? I'll buy that Reed just hacked the door between issues, that's within his skill set. But if he hacked the door, why can't he open and close it at his leisure? Why does Cap need to stand there flexing? And doesn't holding the door open expose everyone outside of the door to ambient radiation? How safe are these cores if Stark Industry also has to build a shaft into the Earth's core every time they install one? Or did the core just somehow happen to burn its way through the planet? I don't know! I know what happened, but I have no idea why it happened. In a lot of ways, this reads like a Michael Bay movie. The details are light, the characters exist but they don't grow, and it's dramatic and over the top. But I do like the focus on the Hulk. I like that all of our heroes came together with very little conflict, and for the most part this worked for me. Given the overall range and quality between some of these Reborn books, I feel like this came out all right. I mean, like I said, we had 3 different studios putting this together, 3 different writers. I think something along the lines of like 4 to 6 different artists worked on these books. And, I had a good time. Yeah. Next time, we're back to the solo books. We'll cover Fantastic Four issues 7 through 11, featuring Wolverine, the Inhumans, Terrax the Tamer, and the coming of Galactus. Everyone, there are a million podcasts vying for your time and attention, and I'd like to thank you for listening to mine. If you would like to get in touch with me, to share a concern, request a series, compliment me, berate me, whatever you like, send me an email at cbbreakdown@gmail.com. Otherwise, thanks for listening.